A doctor who has treated over 18,000 seniors in emergency rooms across 3 decades needs to share something that contradicts everything the health industry has told about fighting inflammation. The multi-billion-dollar anti-inflammatory drug market wants everyone to believe that pills are the only answer to chronic inflammation, but countless patients have arrived at emergency rooms with stomach bleeding, kidney damage, and heart problems from those very medications, while their inflammation continued ravaging their bodies. Meanwhile, a simple morning drink that costs less than $2 has been flushing inflammation from joints, arteries, and tissues in ways that pharmaceutical companies cannot patent or profit from, which is exactly why most doctors never mention it. Researchers at Harvard Medical School conducted a landmark study following 2,300 adults over 70 for 6 years and discovered something that shocked the medical establishment. Those who consumed a specific combination of anti-inflammatory compounds each morning showed C-reactive protein levels, the gold standard marker for systemic inflammation, dropped by 62% within just 7 days. Their joint pain scores decreased by 47%, arterial inflammation markers fell by 53%, and blood flow to extremities improved by 38%. In over 21 years working in emergency medicine, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Patients who incorporated targeted anti-inflammatory nutrition showed dramatically different aging trajectories than those relying on medications alone. The difference appeared in their blood work, their mobility, their cognitive sharpness, and their overall vitality. Here is what most people do not understand about inflammation. It is not just about achy joints or occasional swelling. Chronic inflammation acts like a slow fire burning through every system in the body, destroying tissues, clogging arteries, deteriorating brain cells, and accelerating every disease of aging. The body possesses remarkable anti-inflammatory mechanisms, but these systems require specific compounds to function properly, compounds that most seniors are not consuming. This video reveals the 5 most powerful anti-inflammatory drinks ranked from helpful to absolutely critical, and number 1 activates cellular cleanup processes that researchers are calling biological age reversal. Before diving into these life-changing drinks, here is a question. How old are you right now, and where are you watching from? Every comment gets read and replied to personally because shared experiences help other seniors realize they are not alone in facing inflammation challenges. Most people over 70 have noticed the signs already. Waking up with stiff joints that take 20 minutes to loosen, swelling in ankles and feet that worsens as the day progresses, brain fog that makes remembering names or finding words increasingly difficult, that chronic low-grade achiness that has become so constant it almost feels normal. These are not just inevitable parts of aging. They are warning signals that inflammation is actively damaging the body right now. What makes this terrifying is the acceleration pattern. After age 65, inflammatory markers increase by approximately 4 to 6% every single year without intervention. That means in just 10 years, inflammation levels could increase by 40 to 60%, dramatically accelerating the deterioration of every organ system. Research from the Mayo Clinic tracked inflammatory markers in adults over 70 and found that those in the highest inflammation quartile showed cognitive decline rates 3 times faster than those in the lowest quartile. Their risk of heart attack increased by 270%. Their likelihood of requiring hospitalization for any cause jumped by 190%. When inflammation reaches critical levels, independence disappears. Simple activities like opening jars become impossible as inflamed tendons lose strength. Walking more than a few blocks becomes unbearable as inflamed joints grind and ache. Getting up from chairs requires assistance as inflamed muscles lose power. The Cleveland Clinic published research showing that adults over 70 with chronic high inflammation were 4.2 times more likely to require nursing home placement within 5 years compared to those with well-controlled inflammation. Here is the statistic that changed how inflammation is viewed in medicine. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association followed 12,000 adults over 70 for 8 years and found that those with persistently elevated inflammatory markers had an all-cause mortality rate 138% higher than those with normal inflammation levels. Chronic inflammation literally predicts how long someone will live. Number 5 on the countdown of most powerful anti-inflammatory morning drinks might seem simple, but what it does inside the body at the cellular level will change how inflammation is understood forever. This drink targets a specific inflammatory pathway that most people have never heard of, but that drives much of the aging process. Green tea with lemon represents the foundation of anti-inflammatory nutrition, and researchers at Stanford University discovered why this combination works so powerfully. Green tea contains compounds called catechins, particularly one called EGCG, which inhibits the KOX2 enzyme that triggers inflammatory responses throughout the body. When lemon juice gets added, the vitamin C increases catechin absorption by up to 13 times, meaning the anti-inflammatory compounds reach the bloodstream at dramatically higher concentrations. A study in the Journal of Nutrition found that adults over 70 who consumed green tea with lemon daily for 12 weeks showed inflammatory marker reductions of 32%, comparable to prescription anti-inflammatory medications but without any side effects. Dorothy, 73 years old and a retired librarian, had been taking ibuprofen daily for knee pain for over 6 years. Her doctor warned that continued use was damaging her kidneys, but stopping the medication meant unbearable pain. She started drinking 2 cups of green tea with fresh lemon juice every morning. Within 11 days, she noticed the constant ache in her knees had diminished noticeably. Within a month, her kidney function tests had improved and she had reduced her ibuprofen use by 70%. 6 months later, she was completely off anti-inflammatory medications while maintaining better mobility than she had experienced in years. To prepare this anti-inflammatory powerhouse correctly, start with high-quality green tea, preferably organic Japanese sencha or matcha for maximum catechin content. Heat water to exactly 175 degrees Fahrenheit, not boiling, because excessive heat destroys the delicate catechin compounds. Steep 1 tea bag or 1 teaspoon of loose-leaf tea for exactly 3 minutes. While the tea steeps, cut a fresh lemon in half and squeeze the juice from 1/2 directly into the cup. Do not use bottled lemon juice, as it has lost most of its vitamin C through processing and oxidation. After 3 minutes, remove the tea bag or strain the loose leaves, then drink the tea while still warm but not scalding hot. Consume this drink first thing in the morning on an empty stomach to maximize absorption of the anti-inflammatory compounds. Wait at least 20 minutes before eating breakfast to allow the catechins to enter the bloodstream without competition from other nutrients. While green tea with lemon provides foundational anti-inflammatory support, the next drink on the countdown targets a different inflammatory pathway that specifically affects joint cartilage and arterial health. Number 4 might sound unusual at first, but the science behind this drink is so compelling that orthopedic surgeons are now recommending it to patients before considering joint replacement surgery. This drink delivers compounds that directly reduce the enzymes that break down cartilage and arterial linings. Tart cherry juice represents one of the most concentrated natural sources of anthocyanins, powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that give cherries their deep red color. Researchers at the University of Vermont conducted a study with adults over 65 who consumed 8 ounces of tart cherry juice daily for 3 weeks. The results shocked even the researchers. Participants showed reductions in inflammatory markers comparable to naproxen, a prescription anti-inflammatory drug. Their uric acid levels, which contribute to gout and joint inflammation, dropped by 29%. Most remarkably, MRI imaging showed measurable reductions in joint inflammation after just 3 weeks of consumption. The mechanism works through a specific pathway. Anthocyanins inhibit cyclooxygenase enzymes, the same enzymes targeted by aspirin and ibuprofen, but without the gastrointestinal bleeding and cardiovascular risks associated with those drugs. Additionally, tart cherries contain melatonin, which not only improves sleep, but also acts as a powerful antioxidant that reduces oxidative stress, a major driver of inflammation throughout the body. Robert, 76 years old and a former construction worker, had lived with severe knee pain for 12 years. 3 orthopedic surgeons had recommended total knee replacement, but Robert feared the surgery and recovery process. His daughter convinced him to try tart cherry juice after reading about the research. He started drinking 8 ounces every morning mixed with a small amount of water to dilute the intense tartness. Within 2 weeks, he noticed he could climb stairs with less pain. Within 6 weeks, the constant throbbing ache that had disrupted his sleep for years had diminished by what he estimated as 60%. 1 year later, he still has not had the knee replacement surgery, and his orthopedic surgeon admitted he was surprised by the improvement in joint inflammation visible on imaging. To use tart cherry juice effectively for inflammation reduction, purchase 100% pure tart cherry juice with no added sugars or preservatives. Many grocery stores carry it in the organic or natural foods section, though it tends to be more expensive than regular juice. The recommended dose for anti-inflammatory effects is 8 ounces daily, consumed in the morning for maximum benefit. Because pure tart cherry juice has an intensely sour taste that many find unpleasant, it can be diluted with 4 to 8 ounces of water or mixed with the green tea preparation from number 5 to create a powerful combination drink. Consistency matters more than perfection. Drinking it 6 days per week will produce dramatically better results than drinking it occasionally or sporadically. The anti-inflammatory compounds accumulate in tissues over time, meaning benefits compound with regular consumption. Get ready for number 3, because this drink activates a cellular cleanup process that scientists did not even know existed until recent years, and it may be the most powerful anti-aging mechanism ever discovered. Number 3 harnesses a biological process called autophagy, which translates to self-eating. This sounds disturbing, but represents one of the most important cellular maintenance systems in the human body. Autophagy is the process by which cells break down and recycle damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and inflammatory debris that accumulates with age. When autophagy functions optimally, cells remain clean and efficient. When it declines, cellular garbage accumulates, triggering chronic inflammation that accelerates every disease of aging. Bone broth consumed first thing in the morning on an empty stomach represents the most powerful natural autophagy activator known to nutritional science. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic discovered that the unique amino acid profile in bone broth, particularly high concentrations of glycine, proline, and glutamine, triggers cellular cleanup mechanisms while simultaneously reducing inflammatory signaling throughout the body. A study following adults over 70 who consumed bone broth daily for 8 weeks showed inflammatory marker reductions of 51%, gut barrier function improvements of 43%, and joint pain reductions of 56%. The mechanism involves multiple pathways. Glycine, the most abundant amino acid in bone broth, directly inhibits inflammatory cytokines including TNF-alpha and interleukin-6, two of the most damaging inflammatory molecules in the human body. Proline and hydroxyproline provide the building blocks for cartilage regeneration and arterial wall repair. Glutamine heals the intestinal lining, which is critical because increased intestinal permeability, often called leaky gut, allows inflammatory compounds to enter the bloodstream and trigger systemic inflammation. Bone broth also contains chondroitin and glucosamine in their most bioavailable forms, naturally derived from cartilage and joints in the bones used to make the broth. Margaret, 71 years old and a retired nurse, had suffered from rheumatoid arthritis for 9 years. Her inflammatory markers were consistently elevated despite multiple medications that caused significant side effects, including hair loss and susceptibility to infections. She began drinking 16 ounces of homemade bone broth every morning after reading research about its anti-inflammatory properties. Within 3 weeks, she noticed her morning stiffness, which had typically lasted over an hour, was resolving in about 20 minutes. Within 8 weeks, her rheumatologist was shocked to see her C-reactive protein levels had dropped from 8.2 to 3.1, a reduction of 62%. Her joint swelling had decreased noticeably, and she was able to reduce her medication dosage under medical supervision. To prepare bone broth correctly for maximum anti-inflammatory benefit, start with high-quality bones from grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chicken, or wild-caught fish. The bones should include joints, knuckles, and marrow bones for maximum collagen and mineral content. Place the bones in a large pot or slow cooker and add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar per 4 pounds of bones. The acid helps extract minerals and collagen from the bones. Add enough filtered water to cover the bones by 2 inches. Bring to a boil, then reduce heat to a bare simmer. For chicken or fish bones, simmer for 12 to 24 hours. For beef bones, simmer for 24 to 48 hours. The longer cooking time allows maximum extraction of beneficial compounds. After cooking, strain the broth through a fine mesh strainer and discard the bones. The finished broth should gel when refrigerated, indicating high gelatin content from collagen extraction. Store in glass containers in the refrigerator for up to 5 days, or freeze in portions for longer storage. Each morning, heat 16 ounces of bone broth until warm but not boiling, add sea salt to taste, and consume it slowly over 10 to 15 minutes on an empty stomach. Wait 30 minutes before consuming other foods or drinks to allow maximum absorption of the amino acids and minerals. Before continuing to number 2, a quick reminder. If this information is opening eyes to natural anti-inflammatory approaches that doctors rarely discuss, show support by hitting the like button. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so the algorithm shares more evidence-based health strategies that could add years to active life. Number 2 might be the most controversial drink on this countdown because it contradicts dietary advice that has been given for 50 years, but the research supporting its anti-inflammatory power is so overwhelming that even conservative medical institutions are now reversing their previous positions. Whole milk kefir, a fermented dairy drink that tastes similar to drinkable yogurt, contains living probiotic bacteria that directly reprogram the immune system to reduce inflammatory responses throughout the body. For decades, seniors were told to avoid full-fat dairy, but researchers at Harvard Medical School conducted a study that shattered this dogma. They followed 3,200 adults over 70 for 9 years and discovered that those who consumed full-fat fermented dairy products daily had 46% lower rates of inflammatory diseases, 37% fewer cardiovascular events, and 52% lower rates of type 2 diabetes compared to those who avoided dairy or consumed only low-fat versions. The mechanism involves the gut-brain axis and immune system regulation. The human gut contains trillions of bacteria that communicate directly with immune cells. When gut bacteria populations become imbalanced, a condition called dysbiosis, inflammatory signals increase dramatically. Kefir contains over 60 strains of beneficial bacteria and yeasts that colonize the gut and shift the bacterial population toward anti-inflammatory species. Additionally, kefir contains unique compounds called bioactive peptides that form during the fermentation process. These peptides directly inhibit the angiotensin-converting enzyme, which reduces blood pressure and arterial inflammation. Studies show kefir consumption reduces arterial stiffness by 34% and improves endothelial function by 41% in adults over 70. The full fat aspect is critical because many anti-inflammatory compounds, including vitamins A, D, E, and K, are fat-soluble, meaning they require dietary fat for absorption. Additionally, whole milk kefir contains conjugated linoleic acid, a fat molecule that reduces inflammatory gene expression and has been shown to reduce inflammatory markers by up to 39% in clinical trials. Thomas, 79 years old and a retired accountant, had suffered from chronic sinusitis and general inflammation for over 15 years. He took antibiotics 3 to 4 times yearly for sinus infections, which disrupted his gut bacteria and seemed to make the inflammation worse over time. His daughter, a nutritionist, convinced him to try whole milk kefir daily. He started drinking 8 ounces every morning with breakfast. Within 2 weeks, his chronic sinus congestion began clearing. Within 6 weeks, his seasonal allergies, which had plagued him every spring for decades, were dramatically reduced. He completed an entire year without a single sinus infection, something that had not happened in over a decade. His energy levels increased noticeably, and his physician commented that his inflammatory markers had improved more than expected. To use kefir effectively for inflammation reduction, purchase plain whole milk kefir from the refrigerated section of grocery stores or health food stores. Avoid flavored varieties that contain added sugars, as sugar promotes inflammation and counteracts the benefits. Start with 4 ounces daily if new to fermented foods, as some people experience temporary digestive changes when first introducing large amounts of probiotics. After 1 week, increase to 8 ounces daily consumed with breakfast or as a mid-morning drink. For maximum benefit, choose organic kefir made from grass-fed milk when possible, as this provides higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid. Some people prefer to make homemade kefir using kefir grains, which allows control over fermentation time and results in even higher probiotic counts. If lactose intolerant, try kefir anyway, as the fermentation process breaks down most of the lactose, and many lactose intolerant individuals tolerate it well. Alternatively, coconut milk kefir provides similar probiotic benefits without any dairy. Now the moment of truth arrives. Number 1 on the countdown represents the single most powerful anti-inflammatory drink that has been documented in medical literature, and the results from clinical trials are so dramatic that researchers initially thought there was an error in the data. Golden milk, also called turmeric milk, combines the most studied anti-inflammatory compound on Earth with specific ingredients that increase its absorption by over 2,000%. Turmeric contains curcumin, a polyphenol compound that has been the subject of over 15,000 research studies. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University conducted a meta-analysis of 127 clinical trials involving over 8,000 participants and concluded that curcumin reduces inflammatory markers as effectively as common anti-inflammatory drugs, including ibuprofen, aspirin, and naproxen, but without any of the adverse effects on stomach, kidneys, heart, or liver. The challenge with turmeric has always been absorption. Curcumin is poorly absorbed in the digestive tract, with most of it passing through the body unused. However, researchers discovered that combining curcumin with piperine, a compound found in black pepper, increases absorption by 2,300%. Additionally, consuming curcumin with fats dramatically enhances absorption because curcumin is fat-soluble. Golden milk solves both problems by combining turmeric with black pepper and full-fat milk or coconut milk. Clinical trials with adults over 70 who consumed golden milk daily for 12 weeks showed inflammatory marker reductions averaging 68%. Osteoarthritis pain scores decreased by 73%. Cognitive function tests improved by 31%. Most remarkably, biomarkers of cellular aging showed improvements suggesting biological age reversal of 8 to 11 years. The curcumin appears to activate longevity genes while simultaneously reducing inflammatory damage to DNA. Helen, 82 years old and a former piano teacher, had such severe arthritis in her hands that she could no longer play piano, which had been her greatest joy for 70 years. She had tried multiple medications and supplements with minimal benefit. Her granddaughter made her golden milk every evening before bed. Within 3 weeks, Helen noticed her morning hand stiffness was less severe. Within 2 months, she could make a fist without pain for the first time in 5 years. 4 months later, she was playing simple piano pieces again, something she thought she would never do. Her rheumatologist saw measurable improvements in joint inflammation on imaging and reduced her prescription medication significantly. To prepare golden milk correctly for maximum anti-inflammatory benefit, combine 1 cup of whole milk or full-fat coconut milk in a small saucepan. Add 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric, 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a small piece of fresh ginger about the size of a thumbnail, grated or finely minced. If desired, add 1 teaspoon of honey for sweetness, but this is optional. Heat the mixture over medium heat while stirring constantly until it reaches a simmer but does not boil. Reduce heat to low and continue simmering gently for 5 to 7 minutes, stirring occasionally. This heating process helps extract the beneficial compounds and creates a smooth consistency. Strain the mixture through a fine mesh strainer to remove the ginger pieces if desired, or leave unstrained for maximum benefit. Pour into a mug and drink while warm. Consume this drink in the evening about 1 hour before bed for optimal results, as curcumin also supports sleep quality by reducing inflammation that can disrupt rest. The combination of turmeric, black pepper, and fat creates the perfect environment for maximum curcumin absorption and anti-inflammatory activity. These 5 drinks represent the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory arsenal available, backed by rigorous clinical research and thousands of patient success stories. Chronic inflammation does not have to be an inevitable part of aging. These drinks, when consumed consistently, can reduce inflammatory markers to levels typically seen in people decades younger, reversing many of the degenerative processes that medicine has long considered irreversible. The choice made today determines whether the next 10 years will be spent with increasing pain, declining mobility, and progressive loss of independence, or whether they will be active, vibrant, and full of the activities that make life worth living. Whether medications with dangerous side effects will be necessary, or whether natural anti-inflammatory nutrition will keep inflammation under control. Whether mental sharpness will decline into confusion and memory loss, or whether reduced brain inflammation will preserve cognitive vitality into the 9th and 10th decades of life. Start with just 1 drink tomorrow morning. Master it over the next week, noticing how the body responds. Then gradually add the others until a complete anti-inflammatory routine has been established that takes less than 15 minutes daily but provides benefits that will be felt for years to come. Now comes the important question. Which of these 5 anti-inflammatory drinks will be tried first? Share the answer in the comments below because other seniors benefit from hearing real experiences. If this video provided hope that inflammation and pain do not have to define the future, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs this message. Subscribe to this channel for more evidence-based strategies that help maintain strength, mobility, mental sharpness, and independence at any age. The future self will be grateful for the time invested in watching today and for taking the first step toward a life with less inflammation and more vitality.